So, ions part 3, dealing with chemical configuration. So, chemical configuration is the same thing that we saw before. The only difference is we have charge in the upper right-hand corner this time. So, it's mass over atomic number, symbol, and then charge. Looking at this first problem, it says that we have 5 protons. Remember that protons is our atomic number, and our chemical configuration has mass, atomic number, symbol, and then charge. So my 5 protons, or my atomic number, would go in the bottom left corner. If I know my atomic number, I know what element I have. I have boron. Remember that mass is equal to protons plus neutrons. I know my protons and I know my neutrons, so my mass must be 11. And to figure out your charge, you've got to look at the protons and the electrons. I have 5 protons and 2 electrons, which means I have more protons than electrons. If you have more protons than electrons, it's got to have a positive charge. I have 3 more protons than electrons, so that's a positive 3. If you need to see that visualized, we have 5 positives, 2 negatives, so 2 of them cancel out, and you're left with 3 positives. That's your chemical configuration. Let's do one more together. Here they gave you the mass number is 17. So that's going to go on top. And I know that mass is equal to protons plus neutrons, and I know my neutrons. So 17 minus 8 gives me 9 protons, which is my atomic number. 9 protons corresponds to fluorine. And if you have 10 electrons and 9 protons, you have more electrons, which means you have a negative charge. And I have 1 more electron than proton, so that's a negative 1. Go ahead and pause the video and try number 3 and 4 on your own. Restart when you have them. So our mass was 32 and our charge is negative 2. Because we have a negative 2 charge and we know we have 18 electrons, negative means I have more electrons than protons. So I have to have 16 protons to give me an overall negative charge. If you have 16 protons, then that corresponds to sulfur. For number 4, they didn't give us our protons, so we have to figure out our protons. We know we have a plus 3 charge and 10 electrons. Remember that if you have a plus 3 charge, that means you have more protons than electrons. Plus 3 means you have 3 more protons than electrons, or 13 protons in this case. So the atomic number is 13, which corresponds to aluminum. I know I have a plus 3 charge, and my mass is protons plus neutrons to give me my mass of 27. Notice on number 5, they didn't give you the mass or the neutrons. And so you can get the mass from the periodic table. Just use their rounded mass. So looking at number 5, you have 12 protons. So that's your atomic number. We know our charge is +2. And for magnesium, our mass rounded to the nearest whole number is 24. So that's all you had to do for number 5. Go ahead and pause the video and do 6 through 8 on your own. For 6, you had 50 protons. And so 50 corresponds to 10. And 10 has a mass of 119. We have more protons than electrons, so it's positive. And we have 2 more protons than electrons, so that's positive 2. On number 7, you had 44 protons, and 44 corresponds to R or U. That has a mass of 101. And notice your protons and electrons are equal, so there's no charge. The last one, we know the charge and the electrons. Because it's a -3, we know that we have more electrons than protons. We should have 3 more electrons than protons, which would give us 33 protons. So our atomic number is 33. Looking on the periodic table, AS, which is number 33, has a rounded mass of 75. And that's our chemical configuration. You have a table like this in your note packet. First, where it says fluorine, go ahead and change that to chlorine. And let's do the first one together. Remember that the bottom number is your atomic number. So 17 should be where atomic number is. And top numbers are mass. Atomic number and protons should be the same. So since we have an atomic number of 17, we have 17 protons. Since our charge is -1, then that means you have 1 more electron than proton. So we should have 18 electrons. And to get our neutrons, remember that it's mass minus atomic number, or mass minus protons. So 42 minus 17 gives you 25 neutrons. Go ahead and pause the video and try these 3 on your own. So for our second line, they gave us protons and electrons. So our protons is our atomic number. To get mass, it's protons plus neutrons, or 67. And we have more electrons than protons, so that's negative. And since we have 1 more electron than proton, that's a -1. Now we can just write our chemical configuration because we have all the pieces. From the periodic table, we get that number 30 is zinc. For the third one, we have 5 protons. 13 minus 5 gives you 8 neutrons. Since it's a +3, you have more protons than electrons. 3 more protons to be exact, so that's 2 electrons. We can write our chemical configuration now. For the last one, you have 26 as the atomic number, so that's also the number of protons. Neutrons plus protons gives you the mass. A positive 2 charge tells you you have more protons than electrons, 2 more to be exact, so that's 24 electrons. And now you can write your chemical configuration, number 26 being iron. Go ahead and solve these last 4 on your own. Restart when you have them done. So for the first one we had protons, and so that's atomic number. Protons plus neutrons gives us a mass of 15. -3 means we have more electrons than protons, 3 more to be exact, so that's 10 electrons. And our chemical configuration, 15/7, nitrogen, -3. The next one, 29 minus 14, gives me my neutrons. Protons and atomic number is the same. There's no charge, which means my protons and electrons should equal. Here we're just given the chemical configuration, so we know our atomic number and mass. Atomic number is protons. -1 means we have more electrons than protons, 1 more to be exact. And neutrons, mass minus atomic number, you should have gotten 136. And finally, the last one, our protons and atomic number are equal. -1 means we have 1 more electron than proton. 80 minus 35 gives you 45 neutrons. And number 35 is bromine. And that's all of number 3.